So Bitcoin is still in this consolidation range. However, I think we're getting closer to a resolution of it. Currently, we're watching this inverse head and shoulders, which it broke out of. At the top right here, I did mention on Twitter and both to my Patreons that we would expect a pullback to retest this area. We had a retest of this area, so now logically we want to see it bounce here and then push back up to this area, then ultimately break this area, which would lead to all-time highs. So that's what we're looking for on Bitcoin. If you look at the weekly time frame, I'm going to show you. We're probably going to have further confirmation of this bullish divergence, hidden bullish divergence that was formed down here. The lower high and then the higher, well, the lower low and the higher low on price. That'd be hidden bullish divergence. I'm going to go to Ethereum. Ethereum currently is sitting on support. We want to see it hold this price. If it can hold this price, I think it will continue up to all-time highs. So that would mean both Bitcoin and Ethereum both have an opportunity to push toward all-time highs. It had this massive green candle earlier in the week. We broke this downtrend. There's a lot of volume coming in this week. We'll see how it closes on the weekly time frame, but this might end up becoming the most amount of volume that Ethereum has seen since over here, possibly, depending on how much more volume we see on the weekend. And my theory is that I think the likelihood of a sell-off here for Ethereum is lower than it was for Bitcoin. And the reason is because leading into the Bitcoin ETF, right, which was back here, this was the day of the approval right here. And we first had the first like news story, the fake news story, that it was approved way back here that shot the price up. We never had more than, I think, an 11% correction during that whole time. It was just kind of straight up. We had some small corrections, like 10%, 5% corrections, but it never had a huge pullback. On the other hand, Ethereum is literally just coming off of a 30% pullback, and Bitcoin is also coming off of a 20% pullback or 22% pullback. So the market just had a huge correction, right? And in my opinion, a lot of this happened because most people thought that the Ethereum ETF was going to be denied. Now, obviously, if you followed me, I was pretty adamant and relentless on the fact that I thought this was going to be approved. I thought this was all manipulation. And that turned out to be correct. This was, in my opinion, this was all just theater, in my opinion. And you could say what you want. Like, people have their theories or their excuses. A lot of the experts are now given reasons, even though for months they told you that it was 100% going to be denied. But of course, their sources are from BlackRock. So why would BlackRock ever do anything to benefit retail? And that's what I said way back in March. And I stood by that the whole time and it turned out to be correct. So now, if you compare the two, we just had this huge correction. It's just not the same structure at all. And also, the Bitcoin ETF was listed the next day, and Grayscale immediately started dumping it. On this time frame, it's probably going to be a few weeks or even months until the Ethereum ETF gets listed. So I think because we only just found out, like most people, like 90% of people found out on this candle right here, that the Ethereum ETF was actually likely to happen. While the Bitcoin ETF leading into it, we kind of heard the whole time it was probably like likely to happen. There were still a lot of people saying it was going to get denied. But I'd say like it wasn't what we saw with the Ethereum ETF. Pretty much everyone, every single person everywhere was saying it was going to get denied, and it got approved. So I think the market is offsides here. I think a lot of people sold, they dumped their coins down here. They dumped into, the smarter money because they thought, or they were listening to the experts that were telling them that the Ethereum ETF was going to be denied. And a lot of people were calling for a major crash for both, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of the crypto space based on that. And that turned out inaccurate. So in my opinion, I think it's a decent chance this ends up holding right here. If it does not, it would retest this area down here. I think there's a decent chance this ends up holding. We'll see though. I think we'll find out within a week or so if this either dumps or if this continues to hold. It had a big move up, and now it's consolidating for Ethereum, and we want to see this hold, and we want to see a continuation up toward all-time highs. So I'm going to go to Pepe real fast. Pepe has just seen a massive, move. It's continued up, but I would argue it'll eventually flip Shiba and take the number one Ethereum meme coin spot. So that would mean it would still need to about 3x from here just to catch Shiba. It's still not listed on Coinbase. It's the number one um, political coin. Like Pepe is a political meme, and this is an election year. It's also, in my opinion, if it becomes the number one Ethereum coin on the heels of the ETF getting listed, like it just has a lot of bullish factors, and I think that's ultimately what's been causing Pepe to just continue up. So this coin is just on fire, and it's just been a crazy ride, obviously. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if Bitcoin can push up to these highs. We'll see if Ethereum can hold this level and then continue up. There's a lot going on, and I think overall the Ethereum ETF was just a super bullish event for the whole crypto space. I think this is like a breakthrough. This was even it's hard to quantify like the importance of each ETF, but I would say that I think the ETF is more shocking than the Bitcoin ETF. I mean, both were pretty shocking, especially if you've been in this like space since, I don't even know, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. We were hearing about the ETF all the time, and there was ETF proposals back then, and it was always just like something like, oh, it'll never happen, or it's just going to be like prolonged forever. And now we could sit here today and say we both have a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF pass for, for good permanently now. A year ago, I don't think anyone would have believed this. So it's just insane news. It's very bullish for the whole space. And I think this upcoming year or rest of the year, I think heading into the election period in November, I I think that might be the area we'll be looking for. I was saying this over almost a year ago that I thought quarter four of 2024 or quarter one of 2025 would be closer to the top. We'll see how it goes. It's impossible to actually predict those types of things. Um, but this is shaping up, and it reminds me of 2017, just the structure and whatnot, and the sentiment and people. For the most part, there's a lot of people bearish. There's not many participants. Um, the social engagement on YouTube and X are very low still. Retail hasn't returned. So I think this is shaping up a lot different than this cycle, because at this point in 2020, when we broke all-time highs at 20K, this was like full-blown like mania at that point, even though it was just not even, we saw a mania peak over here during this period, in November of 2017, when it ran from 5K to 20K within, that was about a month, or yeah, a month and like 2 days. Meanwhile, this mania literally happened once when we broke all-time highs, and that was it basically. Meanwhile, this time we're breaking all-time highs. We're working on it right now, and no one really seems to care. So I think it's still early. So we'll see what happens.